What we are exploring is the state of mind, which is pre-creative phase, or you can say, the painting, the art form has not taken birth. We are talking about pre-birth. Yeah. So this phase is somewhere where the question and the inquiries are going on. For me, it is still quite suspenseful. Is it controllable? It is not controllable. Is it just happening to us? Are we just the channels and it is just supposed to come to us? Or I can really figure, how to get it when I want to get it, the creative flow and stuff. So let's start with that. Is it controllable? Do we have this skill that when we want to create something, it comes to us? Is it naturally doing, or is there something like that?
Okay, I'll come to that a little bit. Let's build on it. So my thesis deals with something called Manodharma. Manodharma means the order of the mind. The order of the mind which decides almost everything that we do in our everyday lives. Creativity is definitely a part of it for a creator, an artist. Most of us, all of us are artists over here. So artists have a particular bent of mind. You have originality, you have the power of imagination, you have the power to express yourself, which are the few things which make you a creative person. So again, back to my thesis topic. So Manodharma in classical dance is my thesis. That is the order of the mind, which is the scope of improvisation which is available to every artist in his or her medium. So mine is dance. And here the question is, which I asked myself was, again, diverting a little bit why I took this topic, because dance on stage can be very impactful at times, So if you've ever seen Birju Maharaj ji on stage, even if you haven't, it's okay. A person of his stature, if you see him out on the road, you probably, if you don't know he is the one, the big guru, you'd probably say he's just a gentleman. On the stage, he goes, he starts enacting. It could be a song, it could be a woman in love, a woman in despair, a woman in, happy, a small child, a mother, whoever. And you are mesmerized, your mind has gone into another phase, another place, a garden, a riverside, Yamuna, and you are actually imagining yourself being that mother, being that child, being that lovelorn woman, being that happy woman waiting for her lover. That is the power of Abhinaya. Alright? And that is such a powerful art, but not everybody can do it. Some can do it and some cannot do it. So what is that little thing which separates them? Of course, artists are born, and artists of that caliber would be born once after several years. That's a given thing. तो मेरा ये सोच था कि क्या ऐसा कुछ भी हो सकता है कि हम some pointers that we can give to the next generation where this powerful thing called Abhinaya can be kept in its rich form and can be done by everyone, यहाँ से नहीं तो अगर यहाँ तक हो तो यहाँ तक खींच के उसको ला सकते हैं, अगर उससे भी नीचे हो तो it's about uplifting yourself, growth from wherever you are. So that is where it was a small seed of a thought, and I spoke on it during our हमारा COVID के time पे. It was an online session, and our director, she's no more, Dr. Kanak ji, she called me up and said, तो हाँ ठीक है, सब कुछ बहुत अच्छा किया है, and she's a perfectionist in everything, and vast knowledge है उनको सब चीज़ों के बारे में. So I was like, हाँ ma'am. Then when she called me up, maybe you can take this up as your thesis topic. I was really elated. I felt yes, there was something. I mean, when a person of her stature saw there was something in it. So I took it up, and as I explored, I kept thinking that yes, there is quite a bit. So when Savita ji's call came and she spoke to me about the subconscious. I had not worked on subconscious per se, but mind is something I was working with. The process of the mind, which is responsible for your Abhinaya process, whatever you are doing. Even when I'm moving my hand, even when I'm smiling, even when I'm showing anger, whatever I'm doing, there is the mind working. And that mind has the subconscious also influencing it, impacting it, affecting it at all times. Even when the conscious mind stops working, the subconscious is constantly at work. So, and now then I started reading also on it a little more, because subconscious was not something which I was delving into too much. So again, a big thank you to you, because it gave me a different angle to think about, Yes, thank you. So then, subconscious, it was very, very interesting, because you always feel कि ऐसा हुआ कैसे? What you were saying that time, कि कभी-कभी लगता है कि अरे ये बार में तो हमने सोचा था, ऐसा हो जाएगा करके हमने तो कभी सोचा नहीं था, and it happened. Yeah. There are so many times all these, ये deja vu types एक होता है types, So there is something, nothing magical about it, मगर कुछ तो है. You have been thinking about it so much that it has happened. There is a power, there is an energy to it, which takes a form, which manifests in a way. I think it's quite unexplainable. Abhi tak to, I mean, it's in the arena of spiritualism and probably science.
Yeah. As much explainable, as much unexplainable. That's the phrase. So yeah, it's there but not there, and it's so confusing.
Yes, it is confusing. So, but at the same time, it is very. I mean, it keeps you curious.
Yeah,
it keeps you happily curious. You keep thinking that okay, there is something working without our knowledge.
True.
So whether it is controllable or not, I don't think it is in our hands to a huge extent. All right, but what is in our hands is what the painters were talking about, is to an extent is the technical aspect of it. That might lead to the aspect which we do not have a hand in, subconscious. Secondly, the conscious and subconscious both have to do with our everyday lives, what we see, what we feel, what we
all the inputs,
emotions, whatever, all the inputs of our everyday life, what we read, see, touch, whatever our sensory, the five senses give us, we get all those inputs. While the conscious mind has worked on it and probably forgotten about it or given up on it, there was this word I came across, incubation, which keeps happening inside the mind, which is the subconscious part. That keeps working. That keeps working, because of which we often come across a sudden revelation, a sudden thought, a sudden idea, dreams. Dreams तो मैं इतना करती हूँ, and I keep thinking कि क्यों मैंने ऐसा dream किया. And weirdly, I don't remember those dreams in the morning.
Yeah, they're so fragile, right?
They're fragile, एकदम जैसे sand हाथ से निकल जाता है ऐसे करके. There was one day, a few days back, I got up from sleep. It was a bad dream, and before I forgot, I wrote it down at 3 in the morning. And later on, when I read those words that I had written at 3 in the morning, I didn't remember nothing. No images came into my mind.
Yeah.
So it's that slippery. Yeah. Anyhow, coming back to this, a gut feeling, deja vu. Yeah. These are all the manifestations of the subconscious mind.
Yeah.
I don't have a control on what I dream. I don't have a control on that gut feel. It just comes like this.
Yeah.
Okay. But what I read, what I see, those I have control upon.
Right.
Okay. So
you have the control on the input. Basically, your environment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe you can tell me if you have a control on it. That's going to come to a lot of work for me. And yes, so that is how it is. Dance mein, choreography mein, if I'm talking about choreography mein, in our recent annual show, 2 of my grown-up kids, I mean, they have learned for a long time. And बच्चों का सबका सब कुछ हो गया, उनका ही कुछ हुआ नहीं था. I had chosen a bhajan for them. And but I had not had any time to work on it, and I had never danced it myself. I was supposed to choreograph it for them, and this was dealing with Krishna, who was lamenting to his friend counselor, and he was lamenting that this was the time when he had already left Braj, Vrindavan, and he was already a king. He had left, and he was lamenting that I am not able to let go of my memories. I am here, I am bodily here, but my mind is still by the Yamuna, where the birds' sounds are still coming to my ears. I can still hear the women talking while going to fetch water. This. So I had to build on that. This was the basic framework of the story. Everybody knew Krishna's stories. So we had to build it. And nothing was coming to my mind because there was so much happening. So much happening. इधर भी ये भी देखना है, वहाँ स्टिचिंग भी देखना है, कपड़ों की स्टिचिंग भी हो रही है, यहाँ कोरियोग्राफी भी हो रही है, म्यूजिशियंस आ नहीं रहे हैं, बड़े लोग अपना काम कर रहे हैं, बच्चे नहीं कर रहे हैं, मम्मियाँ बार बार फोन कर रही हैं. All these things happen during a huge thing. So then we just thought, and whenever your mind is calm, I think that is when the subconscious takes over. Your mind is all active. So one thing, meditation.
Yeah.
Meditation is one way where you can reach.
Yes.
So I didn't get to the meditative stage here. I just reached the calming stage. Shant. Just sat down. Okay, three of us, the two of them who were going to do the dance, and we sat down and we started talking about it as a story जैसे. But क्या हो सकता था? What all could he have thought about? Because words में उतना कुछ था नहीं. There were words where the mother was craving for him. Mother would go around looking for him, thinking that he's still there. The gopis would think about him and they would just wonder that, oh my God, he must have come back. But he wouldn't. So here, the sudden thought came as his memories were there. He was here. So then what I decided to do was, one would be Krishna and one would be the memory of Krishna. Okay?
What a beautiful thought.
So the one girl was enacting all the things like the Makhan Chori. Alright? And this girl would momentarily come there and eat the Makhan or whatever. And suddenly the entire memory would go away. And then he'd suddenly say, oh my God, I'm no longer there. Then there would be this mother, then there'll be Radha, who would be thinking about him, who has him with her, and they will be playing together, whatever, jhula wala, jo kuch bhi hai. And then suddenly she sees that he's no longer there. So I'm just giving a small example of how it went. So the moment you calm down and things worked. See this improvisation in work. It was not there in my mind at all. कहीं ना कहीं रहा होगा कि memories can take the form, a physical form as well. So this creative expression, I feel, would have come from somewhere.
Yeah.
It was not from my working mind. It was there somewhere in the mind. Mind has a mind of its own.
Yeah. कहीं चल रहा था.
Mind has a mother mind. I had read it somewhere long back. What leads the mind? The mother, like my mother leads me. The mind is led by the mother mind. The mind is led by somebody. So ऐसा था.
When do you think it helps to just zone out? I mean, zone out is seen as a negative thing, you know. It's very odd that I'll sit in a class and zone out. It's a guilt thing. ये नहीं करना चाहिए. So, yeah, I think there is something about the zone out to be seen as positive something and to use as an enabler. You know, when you want, if you use these enablers, it works in a certain way. So I think when you're sitting quietly in that shant mode, you know, that's when you got it. But then that, do you think it is like totally in your control where, you know, or you have your experience zone outs while in performance, while on the stage, and as a positive thing? Yeah.
We have a part of the dance called the Gat Bhav. Gat Bhav. Gat Bhav, unlike any other, these are the only things which are either being recited or being played on the tabla or pakhavaj. And there'll be a cycle of music called the Lehra, which will go on. So this dance is not supported by any lyrics. उसमें कोई बोल नहीं होती हैं, इन द सेंस कोई वर्ड्स नहीं होती, इट्स नॉट सपोर्टेड बाय एनी लिटरेचर, इट इज ओनली ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ द तबला प्लेइंग द 4 beats एंड इट्स अ साइकिल विच कंटिन्यूज. सो उस पर हमें एक पूरा कहानी बोलना होता है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल द स्टोरी ऑफ माखनचोरी, इफ आई वुड टेक, वो पूरा एक स्टोरी अगर मुझे बोलना है, देयर आर डिफरेंट कैरेक्टर्स. सो द फर्स्ट द मदर कम्स, शी makes the makhan and she puts it inside. While putting it there in the usual place, she thinks that no, I'm not going to put it there. That little one is going to take
Location
this every time he is doing that. Let me look for a place. Then she walks around on the stage. She's been looking here and there, यहाँ वहाँ इधर उधर करके, and then she says, ये एक अच्छी जगह है, ऊपर है ये, चलो उसको हाथ में नहीं आएगा उसका. And she puts it, closes it, and then she checks the height. हाँ, ये height तो अच्छा ही है, वो तो छोटू सा है, वो छोटे छोटे हाथ हैं उसके, वो तो नहीं कर सकेगा. He is very happy with her intelligence, and then she picks up her makka, gives it a look. Yes, I have done a good job today. She opens the door, steps out and goes. Here there is a change of character which we do. There's a technical way of doing it. पलटा लेकर के, and then का धान देखिते धातुना kat. This is Krishna, and he says, मम्मी तो गई. Very hungry today. थई थई तत आ थई थई तत ता थई थई तत आ थई. घर पे तो बना होगा. Then he walks थई थई तत आ थई, दरवाजा खोल के अंदर गया. थई थई तत आ थई. यहाँ तो मम्मी ने जहाँ बनाया था वहाँ तो पड़ा हुआ है. थई 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 तत ता. यहाँ तो रहना चाहिए, यहाँ क्यों नहीं है? This is the usual place where it's kept. थई तत आ थई थई तत ता थई थई तत आ थई थई तत थई थई तत आ थई थई तत ता थई थई तत थई तत ता आ थई थई तत ता थई थई तत आ थई थई तत ता. Then he jumps. आ थई थई तत ता रा रा ना आ थई थई तत ता रा. कहीं कहीं स्टोरी, it's you are the storyteller. It's up to you how you want to build it. कहीं दोस्तों को बुला के चलो पिरामिड बनो. कहीं कहीं which I do is दिखाओ उसको एक लंबा सा लकड़ी जैसा कुछ था. थई थई तत लकड़ी की वेट से वो भी गिर रहा है. It's too big for him. थई थई तत थई थई तत ता थई थई तत थई थई तत ता थई तत. So when I am building this story, and every time it happens, the entire story if I am doing, here he eats, he has it all over his body, and mine and thei thei tat ta thei tat thei thei tat thei tat. अभी आवाज मिली थई थई tat थई थई. दरवाजा देखा तो दरवाजे से तू आ रही है. थई थई tat ta थई थई tat थई थई tat ta. कोने में जाके अपनी ही आंख बंद करके बैठ गया. The psychology of the child saying that my eyes are closed, nobody can see me. अपनी आंख बंद करे, he is sitting. Then we take पलटा again and the mother comes. थई थई तत थई थई तत. पहले तो फिसल रही थी वो. थई तत थई थई तत थई थई तत थई थई तत. आज भी करके गया, इतना कुछ किया फिर भी थई थई तत. मगर आज उसको छोड़ूंगी नहीं. थई थई तत थई थई तत थई तत. उसको पहले तो हंसी आ गई. ये देखो बैठा हुआ है अपनी आंख बंद करके, सोच रहा है कि nobody can see him. थई थई तत. मगर उसको तो आज डिसिप्लिन करना ही पड़ेगा. The music keeps going. Then he's in मैंने तो नहीं किया है, मैं सच बोल रहा हूँ, मैंने नहीं किया है. She asks, then you have them all over your body and everywhere. What about that? थई थई तत थई 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 तत थई थई. Then she थई थई रोने लगता है. Mother cannot see tears coming. She melts completely. So this is the basic thing that वही लाके कहीं से तो कहीं बचाया हुआ था. थई थई तत थई थई तत थई तत रा तत रा तत रा. Anymore. When I'm enacting the child, I'm actually thinking myself as the child, and that is not something which I'm consciously doing. That requires complete immersion. That immersion sometimes happens, sometimes it doesn't happen. हमारे गुरु लोग कहते हैं कि वो होने के लिए ना बड़ों की आशीर्वाद होती है. That momentarily where you forget yourselves completely and you are one with your art, your character. You think and act exactly how that character is thinking or acting. Okay, so that doesn't happen easily, but whenever it happens, it's a different feeling. And those are the performances where people have cried. All right? Then they have come and told me that, Jonaki, this is what we have felt. So when I think that, yes, but I was also feeling completely immersed in it. What must have happened? I was not in control of what I was doing. So here, the mind beyond the mind was
Operating at that level.
At that level.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So yes, those are the places where subconscious takes over.
So yet one more question. Since we are in this flow where you said there are many characters that you get to play. Now, while it's very slippery, you know this. Like you just go in the flow and it's slippery. You're in that mode. You're in one character. But then there is a control, I feel, because you come back and you play another role. Yeah. So there's a switch, and you have caught the timing also, which means there is control. That totally proves that you can maneuver.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's only with the training, okay?
Yes.
Otherwise आप उसी में
There's a
रहोगे तो
practice
फिर
around.
फिर वो स्टोरी बोलना ही नहीं हो रहा है. अब
Sorry.
मेरे स्टोरी में कृष्ण भी हैं, इंद्र भी हैं, गांव वाले भी हैं.
उससे ज्यादा टाइमिंग
है, स्पेसिंग है, कितना कुछ है. ज्यादा पीछे जाऊंगी तो जाके स्क्रीन में टकराऊंगी, वहां जाऊंगी तो स्टेज से गिर जाऊंगी. Spacing.
Yeah.
In my mind.
So much sensory things happening everywhere.
So many things to be taken care of. Yes.
Right.
But that is where you've been, training come first, and then comes those.
Exactly.
Yes.
And to build upon what you said, I think there's a big word called allow. So I think people who practice more allow themselves to weave in more, and that allow is their practice, and that's where the catch comes, where you can switch. And मतलब अगर sad mood है तो उसमें से निकल के फिर एक happy a scenario create करना, the entire like giving that. So it's a practice of the weave.
Practice
and
to completely devote to
yeah devote, and then you switch also, like it's a weave. So you come back,
devoted,
you come in.
it's like freedom in that frame.
Yeah.
So you're subconsciously
So it's
free to do
beautiful.
what you want, but while you're still in that rule book or
in the framework,
in the guide.
in the-
absolutely in our framework.
Right.
In again framework की बात कर रहे हैं हम लोग, तो किसी बिलीफ के फ्रेमवर्क के अंदर, जैसे इंडियन फिलोसफी ऑल्सो टॉक्स ऑफ संस्कारस. ऑलराइट. सो सबकॉन्शियस, this you might believe, you might not believe, doesn't have to do with what we have experienced in this life alone.
Not necessary.
Yes.
Absolutely not necessary.
Not necessarily, yeah. So we believe in reincarnation.
Yeah.
All right. So kahin our past deeds are also responsible for our decision making process, our emotions, our
What's coded in that DNA?
coding. Yes.
Yeah, totally.
So this is again belief के framework में. Necessarily believe करने की जरूरत है. I believe in it. Yes. But I sometimes wonder कि why did I do it? Why did I think about this? Okay, ये तो मुझे किसी ने सिखाया नहीं था, किसी ने मुझे बोला नहीं था. How did this thing come into my mind? ऐसे करके. So then I tell myself, yes, there might be something which I haven't fed myself in this life. Okay, it didn't have to do with my cultural beliefs, whatever I've experienced, whatever emotional upheavals, happy, sad, जो कुछ भी हुआ है उसमें उसके बीच में ये आता ही नहीं था. Then ये कहाँ से आया?
Yeah.
So this is also
and
something.
it's a very weird thing कि हमारी रचना में से भी आता है कभी-कभी. Yeah. So it's a drag basically. So you go in the flow, you meet that character which you aim to be, and that drags along. वो आ जाता है यहाँ. Yeah. So it can be borning out of your own act and your own creation, and it just comes and it sits with you. Have you figured some of these anchors, how to bring back, how to come back? So if you are enacting and you are, say, playing one of the roles, and it's the mother maybe right now, and you are playing from your experience as well. So are there any anchors where you know that this is my point where I am going to now speak or now enact and change here? So are there any anchor points? Like, have you built those, after this sequencing hai kya kuch?
Sequencing, no.
An anchor can also mean in very simple words that ज़्यादा तो नहीं हो गया. Yeah, that way.
that comes with being under your guru. In our tradition, it mostly being, हाँ, उसके बाद वो एक sense develop हो जाता है कि अभी ज़्यादा हो जा रहा है. You need to cut it here. Dancers are generally very clever people, okay? So they have to gauge a lot of things. Space, muscle memory, वो सब तो है ही है. उसके साथ साथ ना थोड़ा सा ये भी देखना होता है, what is the audiences, where are they? Are they very receptive or not? Receptive audience milna is like a blessing for us, So you can go free and your audience is with you. So anchors, yes, anchors पे हम पहले ही काम कर लेते हैं. We sometimes work in front of the mirror.
Okay.
Or sometimes we make somebody sit and do. When my students are doing, I am observing them. When I am doing, I may ask my guru to watch it once. So, because they obviously have more experience than us. And they would be able to figure out that when this is done on the stage, how will it be perceived? I'm talking about that perspective when it's being done on the stage. Because it is the stage art, after all. So, हाँ, तो वो anchors हम पहले से ही करते हैं. And कहीं हमको अगर लग रहा है करते समय that no, I am getting too emotionally, drawn into it, pulling back.
Yeah.
When you होने will perform, आपके मन में तब क्या चल रहा है before the performance?
Ideally, if you're about to performance, see, I know what I'm going to be performing. Say I'm going to be performing a particular piece to do with a particular character. I try and keep quiet. I don't talk to anyone that time. I don't like anybody coming and talking to me that time. I try to think like that character as much as possible. Because I need to get into that mood, into that mode. If it's going to be a composition where the dominant emotion is sorrow, then I can't be all chatty and suddenly I go and do sorrow. It's humanly not possible. It doesn't work with me. It might work with others. So I keep quiet. I go through those lines if there are lyrics involved. I try and start feeling those emotions beforehand itself. And then I go on the stage.
So this project, actually what you're seeing here, happened to me in 2010. Wrapped up, kept inside, not looked back. And suddenly this year, I'm out. And with that confidence that I'm going to ring this almost everywhere, because I'm just seeing the strength that, yes, this needs to be spoken about. The need just came now.
There's a time for everything. There is a time for everything. If it has to happen, it will happen. So the conviction is something you'll have to keep on. Thanda hi hai, magar rahega. And it is going to happen. If you really love something and desire it in a good way, it is definitely going to happen.
Right. True. True.
Dha arinda ra din da dha tin tin ta traka din da da arinda ra din da ra tin tin ta traka din da ta thai thai tat a thai thai एक समय गृह से निकसी आली पहिन के चीर सुरंगी साड़ी खेलत कूदत जाही रही सखी जाही रही नंदलाल की बाड़ी कच्ची कली एक तोड़ लई यही कारण बाह मरोरत माली आग लगी ब्रिज की बगिया एक फूल के कारण लाखन गारी एक फूल के कारण लाखन गारी एक फूल के कारण लाखन गारी. So here she starts crying only, and in the end, she takes out all her anger on that. Okay? So this was a small, tiny example of what we do in Kavitya. So एक छोटी सी कहानी within a tiny framework. Now a story where Krishna, wow, lovely, lovely, thank you so much. So here, everybody knows the story where
The environment in it.
Krishna is संग में लिए ग्वाल बाल नटनागर नंदलाल गोवर्धन जात है. So here Krishna, here the scenario is where the Vrindavan Vasis, the villagers, are going to worship the Mount Govardhan. If you have heard the story, so this goes against Indra's pujas. All right, उन्होंने इंद्र की पूजा बंद की है and they are going to worship Govardhan Parvat, which Krishna had instructed the Gaonvasis to do. This angers Indra. इंद्र देख क्रोध करत सननन पुरवाई चलत धड़ धड़ बादल गरजत तड़ तड़ बिजली चमकत बरसत मूसलाधार सखियां सब बही जात कृष्णचंद्र गोवर्धन नख पर उठाए ले ब्रज को बचाए ले देव ऋषि आकाश से फूल बरसाए देत नारायण नाच गाये कृष्ण को रिझावत है. नादिक दिक नादिक दिक, ये इसमें पूरा चक्कर है तो आई विल नॉट बी टेकिंग द चक्कर्स, आई माइट हिट समथिंग. नादिक दिक नादिक दिक थोदिक दिक थोदिक दिक त्राम तत् थे त्राम तत् थे, वो लास्ट में तिहाई लेकर के खत्म होती है. तिंता त्रक दिन दिंदारा अधिंदारा अधिंदा तिन तिंता त्रक दिन दिंदारा अधिंदारा दिंदारा तिन तिंता त्रक दिन दिंदाता थे थे तत् आ थे थे तत् संग में लिए ग्वाल बाल नटना कर नंदलाल गोवर्धन जात है. सखियां सब उमंग भरी गिरिवर की पूजा करी नादिक दिक नादिक दिक थोदिक दिक थोदिक दिक त्राम तत् थे आनंद मनावत है. इंद्र देख क्रोध कर सननन पुरवाई चलत धड़ धड़ बादल गरजत तड़ तड़ बिजली चमकत बरसत मूसलाधार सखियां सब बही जात कृष्ण चंद्र गोवर्धन नख पर उठाए ले ब्रज को बचाए ले देव ऋषि आकाश से फूल बरसाए दे नारायण नाच गाय कृष्ण को रिझावत है. नादिक दिक थोदिक दिक थोदिक त्राम तत् थे त्राम तत् थे त्राम तत् थे.